All right, well,
These
we
things
are
are a little
back.
better with sound, aren't they?
We are back. Yeah, they are a little bit better with sound.
For those that tuned in earlier, we just had a couple faders down. Pull them back up. We're good to go.
The
Everything's going to be
beauties
fine
of,
this
I was
time.
going to say live TV, but
Yeah.
it's more
Live
live
streaming.
streaming now. It is all fixed. Hello. What we were trying to say is I couldn't remember what day it was because we were talking about, that weird in between Christmas and New Year where it's like not a lot of people are working.
Yep.
We don't know what day it is.
Should be getting back into the groove now.
Yeah, we're back into the
third day of the work week.
Yeah, we're getting back into
Yeah.
it now. You know, your body's kind of recovering a little bit. Everybody heading back to work. We're talking about a little bit more of an active weather pattern ahead of us coming up next couple of days.
Yeah.
Thursday, late Friday, and Saturday, and really Sunday. You're still going to see impacts from this thing that's rolling its way on through. So real quick, share the stream, get it out to all your friends. If they've got plans coming up late week, after a long work week, you just want to have some dinner plans out with your wife, out with the kids. Maybe you want to do something outside this weekend. You're going to want to listen up because things are going to start to shake up a little bit.
The changing in a hurry. I mean,
Yep.
you get used to having this little warming trend. You get these 60s on the board. The good sunshine that we have out there today too.
Oh, dude,
it's beautiful.
Dude,
all of that goes away here in a hurry.
Yeah, it's great out there right now. And these clouds, honestly, have gotten out of here pretty quick. Yesterday, data held on to them till like 4 o'clock. And I mean, they've cleared them out pretty quick today. So really nice look out of downtown Louisville right now. Just a few cirrus clouds out there right now. And we are hanging out in the low 50s, which, could be worse.
We'll take it. I mean, my goodness, this time of year, average high, 44 degrees or so. We're already 8 above that. We still got another 2 hours of daytime heating that we can have.
Yeah, I mean, this time of the year, if you can get anything outside done and try to soak in some of the sun, man. When I got home yesterday, after I got off at 5 o'clock, I sped home as much as I can with the 9 to 5 traffic now. And I was like, let's all go for a 10-minute walk for the sunsets. And it's good, it makes you feel better. You're soaking in that sunshine, trying to get rid of any of that seasonal depression that a lot of people actually
deal with,
suffer from this time of the year.
For me, I was out doing some painting yesterday on the front porch, trying to get a house sold, and so we're painting the house and then and raking up all the leaves that we didn't get in the fall. Put that one off quite a bit.
If you want to get out and do any of that coming up, do it today.
Yes,
you can do it for probably a good chunk of the day tomorrow because things are going to start to heat up a little bit. Not by heat up, I don't mean temperature-wise. I do mean just active weather-wise. So tonight we keep the skies mostly clear for most of the night. And that's going to allow us to start off pretty chilly tomorrow. But as you can see, the clouds are going to fill back in really quick by tomorrow morning. Now, Matthew did the midday show today, so he can probably allude to this a little better than I can. The data today continues to back off a little bit on that rain chance for tomorrow.
The arrival of the rainfall just keeps getting pushed back another hour or two. And at this point, just like Bryce has already said, most, if not all, of the daytime hours are bone dry for us. Temperatures should climb pretty much area-wide 60s. I think that this model might be going a little bit cool. I think that because of the extra cloud cover that it's showing here, that maybe that's having an impact on the model's temperatures. But when you have a southerly breeze, and especially southwesterly breeze, your temperatures will go sky high around here.
Yeah, every time around here, we talk about that all the time. All of us on the weather team talk about it all the time. You get a southwest breeze around here. You can take those numbers on any model that you look at and jack them up by like 5, 6, 7 degrees or so.
Especially if those clouds break it all. That extra sunshine really will do a number on those temperatures.
We saw that on Monday.
Yeah, big time.
Went up big time. So we're warming up Thursday. A little bit of a breezy day. It gets more breezy during the night. And as Matthew mentioned earlier, data's kind of pushing this rain back and back and back a little bit. And to be honest, this first wave of it just doesn't look as impressive as it did even 24, 48 hours ago. So a lot of data has this rolling in, maybe even a little bit earlier than this. We could see some light showers rolling on in right around midnight tomorrow night and heading into Friday. But you're not really going to notice a huge impact from it maybe until the wee hours of Friday morning, Matthew. And you can see some data picking up on what looks like some of these storms packing a little bit of a punch. But it's rolling through the middle of the night on Friday.
Right. And so for folks, especially if you're an early riser on Friday morning, these storms I think are going to be more impactful for you than just about any other group. So say that, and again, the timing on this could change some. It could be pushed back another hour or two like models have been doing. It could be pushed up a little bit. Let's go to the next one and show folks, again, most of this is happening during the morning hours. Already by mid-morning, right after the morning commute, things start to clear out, at least in the metro. It takes a little bit longer for our communities further down In southern Kentucky, probably sometime around 1 or 2 o'clock, it gets out of there. And then a lot, if not all of us, are already dry by the evening hours. And so much of the daytime on Friday also is going to be on the dry side.
Yeah.
So I don't think that either Thursday obviously is not a washout at
Right.
all, with the rain happening closer to midnight, and even Friday not going to be a washout by any means.
Right, and especially during the daytime, as Matthew mentioned, a lot of the daytime Friday will be dry. It's the second wave that starts to roll back in a little bit, though, that when you look at our 7-day forecast, will bring in a higher chance of rain for Friday. It's because come Friday night, here comes another low. This one coming out of Oklahoma, moving into Arkansas, is going to roll up into our area. And this lasts, honestly, and you'd probably agree with me after seeing data this morning, it's like, I think the most widespread rain chance we're going to have out of all of this is probably Friday night and heading into early Saturday morning as this second low moves on by. Because this second low pressure, I mean, it's going to roll right over our head. And anytime you get a low pressure that goes right over your head, you can just take it to the bank, bet all the cash on it. It is going to rain.
And I would say that the difference between these two setups, obviously, both have rain with Thursday night into Friday morning and then Friday night into Saturday.
Yep.
However, most of Friday night into Saturday is just going to be regular old rain.
Right.
It's Thursday night into Friday where we have more of that storm to potentially strong storm chance in there.
And that's something we're going to talk about here in just a sec. Now, I know a lot of people are curious because we're dropping down big time by
fast.
Sunday. It's not like that 50-degree temperature drop we saw a couple weeks ago within 24 hours, but it's still a big one. And there's enough moisture coming off the Great Lakes to where we may be able to get a few snow showers in there on Sunday. Now, we're not talking about a big deal here, but snowflakes are snowflakes.
I'm not going to rule out accumulating snow by any means, but I do think that this will be a little bit of a disappointment for the snow lovers.
For sure.
They just get that taste of it again.
You're like, come on.
Squeeze more out of it.
And as Matthew mentioned, the chance of some strong storms. So we go through this every time. You need instability, which is usually warmth and high dew points. This time of the year, it's not as much as you need during the spring. You need wind shear. That's about 40 miles an hour or greater at the 850 millibar level of the atmosphere. That's about an hour. That'd be outer space. About a mile above the ground. And then forcing something to fire the storms, like a front or something like that, which is what we're going to have. So the first thing that we look at often is wind energy, especially this time of the year. During the winter, sometimes you can get some fluctuations in the jet stream to where it can come down a little bit and you can get some of these fast winds. And Matthew, I mentioned that kind of 40 mile an hour threshold about a mile above the ground.
We're well above that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously you see the numbers on there yourselves, 60 to 70 mile per hour gusts at 850 millibars.
Yeah.
That's pretty intense. And so if that's able to translate down to the ground, we're going to see the potential for severe thunderstorms in here. It's not a big chance, but it is there.
Right.
And even outside the storms, it will be very breezy most of Thursday, especially the second half of the day and into Thursday night.
And that's the tricky thing, is getting these winds. And again, this is not at the ground.
Right.
But getting these winds aloft down to the surface. And the big way you do that is having surface instability. So I want you to keep in mind the time here. The winds peak at about 3 a.m. right in the middle of the night, Thursday night heading into Friday. Then they lack off and they come up a little bit again on Friday. But they really peak late Thursday night, early Friday morning. So when you look at instability values at the surface for that exact same time,
bunch of zeros on the board.
Yeah, there's nothing there. And this is surface instability. So you can have what's called elevated cape and surface cape. You have to have surface cape to get severe weather, at least organized severe weather.
Yes.
That's when you start talking about tornadoes, you start talking about severe wind gusts and things like that. But if they're elevated, then you're talking about maybe some hailers in there, maybe some strong gusty winds, or rogue severe here or there. But you're not talking about like organized, widespread severe weather.
Right. And so that's, I think, going to be the scenario here. The Storm Prediction Center has put us in that marginal risk, the lowest level risk that you can have. And so 1 or 2 instances of severe weather possible, meaning most likely a damaging wind gust or 2.
Right.
The main thing I think folks need to be prepared for is pretty widespread, 35, maybe up to 50 mile per hour gusts for some of these.
Exactly. So again, you have to have both of these things line up at the same time in order to get severe weather. You can see those numbers start to climb a little bit late Friday, but at that point, it's too little too late because we've lost the wind energy. The main line of the storms, that forcing that we talked about in the last graphic, needed to fire these things, it's already moved on. So you may get some rumbles of thunder Friday night, but when you don't have the wind energy to match it, these things don't align. then it's just not going to happen, at least in an organized, widespread aspect. So as Matthew was mentioning, 30 to 40 mile an hour wind gusts, absolutely possible. You can start to see the wind gusts, this is now at the surface, start to come up a little bit Thursday night. And Matthew, you can see them climbing, and some data is throwing it above 40 miles an hour right when that wind energy is at its peak.
Absolutely. And again, so sometimes within the storms themselves, those gusts go up a little bit higher. But outside any of the storms, that's what this model's trying to show you right now, is that those gusts could be upwards of 45 miles per hour.
Right, and this lasts for a good chunk of the first half of the day Friday. And then once things calm down a little bit, it lowers. And then on Saturday, when that second low rolls right over us, it picks up a little bit. But we just don't have the Cape on Saturday. With that low moving right over, we don't have as much warmth. So that's what we're struggling with once we get to that. And again, it kind of depends on the model. So this is the Cape values aloft. This isn't the surface Cape. This is the elevated Cape. And you can see right when there's peak winds in our area and peak wind energy, we have a little bit, and there's barely anything on Saturday. So this is where we're talking about a rogue severe here or there. You can't rule out, but we're not talking about like a big risk at all.
Nope, not at all.
In our area.
So we've already had a couple of instances over the past month or two where we've had a few severe weather scenarios where we're right on the edge of this is what's possible, but this is what's more likely. And a couple of those times did produce tornadoes. This is not one of those instances, at least not from what we can see right now, where I think tornadoes are on the table. I do think it's a damaging wind threat, if anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Matthew mentioned, we're in that level 1 marginal. It's the lowest risk they have. That comes up to our southern counties, but the organized severe risk, as you can see as well, to our south. It comes up to around Nashville, and that's as far north as it goes, because we just don't have the Cape to do it. We have plenty of wind energy, but that's what often happens during the winter. You'll get one without the other, and usually it's the wind energy without the Cape, because you have to have warmth, you have to have high dew points. And I mean, we're going to be warm, but we're not quite to the level that we need in order to get severe weather around here. So when we talk about rainfall, these numbers have come down a lot.
Yes, a whole lot.
The last couple of days. A whole lot.
I know. I can't remember last time I looked at the models what they were saying. Well, they were saying over an inch of rain in quite a few spots. I had mentioned probably about 4 or 5 days ago that there would be a band of rain with this, and depending on exactly the track of that center of low pressure, that's going to help determine where the heaviest of the rain is going to be. And in fact, with these next few rounds, it looks like the heaviest will now be, instead of northwest of our area, it'll be southeast of our area.
Yeah, and you notice, like, over the last couple of days, it's been slowly moving it and moving it and moving it. And that's something that when we look at model data, we don't take it as gospel, but we watch for trends. And the trends over the last 4 to 5 days, we just talked about, have continued to move that heavier rain band further southeast and southeast. That's why you can see right down in here, those darker shadings there, where you're probably going to get over an inch of rain. Now, Louisville still could, but the further north you go, it looks like the less you're going to get, in this case in scenarios. So, and the bulk of that really is going to arrive Friday night into Saturday. Because again, that first wave that looked like it was going to be the main show, while it may have a strong storm or two, it's just like the widespread aspect of it.
There are people that won't see anything on early Friday morning, and there will be places that get a strong storm that dump a quick quarter of an inch, third of an inch of rain.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when we look into the future, so temps are falling this weekend pretty quick.
Yeah.
I believe you had, 30s on
Sunday?
So
34 for a high temperature Sunday after getting up near 70 degrees on Friday.
So, I mean, it's another bang, bang, we're back down to below normal again. But I'll tell you what, heading into next week, we rebound pretty quick. We're back in the mid-40s. But when you look into the full future, when you look toward mid-January, so we're talking about long-range forecasting here, which is never a set done deal.
No.
We wrote a blog on this the other day and posted about it, that a lot of data was showing some hints for a stratospheric warming event again.
And if you remember the last time we talked about that, when you talk stratospheric warming, that warmer air displaces a pocket of cold air. And where's the cold air come from?
Yeah, it comes from way up there. So, I mean, we're talking about, we're not talking about the polar vortex and the troposphere. We're talking about the stratospheric polar vortex, basically. And all that cold air, or warmer air up there, I guess, comes down and warms so rapidly that brings that cold air from up near Siberia and the North Pole down into our area. And this is where we start to see hints of maybe a colder pattern heading into mid-January. And then you mentioned earlier, a lot of people asking about, okay, well, how much snow am I going to get on January 18th?
Everybody's wondering, well, we already had 10 inches of snow in December, our 4th snowiest December on record. We're almost up to our average for the year, which is about just over a foot, 13 something.
Yeah.
And does that mean that we're going to have an even snowier January and February? Does that mean that we're going to have less snow those 2 months? It doesn't correlate perfectly there. You
Right.
can have a big snow at the beginning of the season, nothing in the middle, and a big snow at the end.
Right.
There's no specific correlation there.
Right.
However, when we're looking at a typical season, we just use all of those teleconnections to say, well, this is kind of the average of what happens, which is why we put out that winter blog.
Right. So if you were gonna ask us, is there a better chance for snow in mid to late January? Our answer to you would be yes, because we have more access to that cold air. Say if that stratospheric warming event does play out, which it looked like it will, starting around like the 15th through like the 21st of January.
Also need the moisture to come up
exactly.
in there as well. So it's more than just one factor.
Exactly. So we're not telling you, hey, get ready
Get
for
ready.
big snow that week, but the chance for some snow does come up because we have access to the cold air, but you also have to have access to the moisture. So it's, again, two things that have to line up at the same time in order for that to happen.
Let's check for some of these comments that we got over
friend
here.
down here at the
Veda Sue, what's up, girl? Yeah, we go to church together. She's a good woman. Good woman. We love you, Veda. Glad that you're tuning in, buddy.
If you got any questions, by the way, let us know about anything. Matt Covey says, bring on the snow, bring the snow. So a lot of people, it's a hot topic, man. I had a lot of people on my page last week that were like, no, we don't want any more. We don't want any more. And again, we're not saying that we are going to get snow heading in the middle, late of January, but those chances absolutely do come up with access to colder air. It looks like it may be a potential. So
yeah, I don't see any extra questions coming in here. I know that we've been in a pretty mild pattern around here, or at least easy pattern, easy going. Jude and I are going to be back tomorrow. Of course, he's going to have his morning forecast between the 9 a.m. show and that noon show. We're going to do another one of these. We're going to have the latest data on the scenarios that could be occurring. But at this point, I do think that the models have done a good job honing in on this is a late Thursday night, very early Friday morning type of severe weather potential.
Yeah.
Severe weather potential is low.
Yeah.
Damaging wind gusts are too possible in there. Then we get much of Friday on the dry side before more rain returns later Friday evening and through the overnight hours into Saturday. And, we talked about that cold air on Sunday.
Yeah.
High temperatures sitting right around freezing. There's still some moisture left over. So, again, that snow potential is there on Sunday for folks that would like to see some.
How will it look in Jeffersonville this weekend as far as severe weather, Henrietta? So if you're just joining, severe weather potential is very low. We're not going to come out here and tell you that it's impossible because that's never really the case when you have a lot of wind energy. But we don't have that storm energy lining up at the same time as the wind energy. So I think a worst case scenario for Jeffersonville, even Louisville, would be a severe storm rolling through with some 60s, 65s. But again, that may be a worst case scenario. There's just not a lot of storm energy for this thing to work with.
The better chance is going to be in our southern communities. So if you're in Jeffersonville, Indiana, I think that your chance is very, very low. Again, we'll give it a non-zero, meaning it's not impossible. But realistically, your chance of seeing a severe storm is fairly low.
Absolutely. How does the temp look for the rest of the month? Soccer training needs to be above 33 degrees. That's a good point there.
There may be some days in there that you don't get it.
Exactly. So this is kind of us alluding to that long-range forecast that we just talked about and that stratospheric warming where it does look like another cold shot from way up north is going to roll in through here, starting around like the 16th or so of January, going through like the 21st, 22nd. I mean, I'm not going to tell you it's going to be 32 versus 33, but I will say a colder pattern kind of looks a little bit more likely toward the second half of the month.
Yep. Emily Morley, we mentioned that Friday risk in there. It's going to be during the Friday morning commute and just before that, most likely. So the pre-dawn hours to sunrise, and just after that is where we'll see that severe potential, I think. Let's see. All right, I think that's about it. Angela, love seeing you in the chat, buddy. And Jacob's Generation as well. You guys are awesome.
Appreciate you both. Thank you.
That's about all that I've got.
Yeah, these like midday streams, nice to come up here and kind of talk, and we're not limited on time like we are in TV. Time, we've got 3.5, 4 minutes maybe to give you the whole spiel, but on hearing that you can come in and you can ask questions. And as Matthew mentioned, him and Jude are going to do another live tomorrow, and that'll have really the best high resolution data that we can have with this storm system, because by then it's going to be in the U.S.
Yep.
So,
which is, of course, you're always waiting for it to get over land, better sampling for the data, and that way we can get more out to you guys.
Well, thank you guys for joining. Mark will be live again at 4 o'clock on WDRB and at 5, and then Rick DeLuca will be on later this evening as well. So join into them. Mark will give you a new analysis on the severe threat or lack thereof heading into tomorrow. And then be sure to join Matthew and